This individual was one of the primary builders of James Brown's signature sound. He contributed to early James Brown soul tunes as well as classics that paved the way for funk. He's also claimed credit for creating the majority of James Brown's hits. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Bobby Byrd. Now, before we start, if you guys love supporting me, then I highly suggest you become a member of the channel for exclusive videos that I will only release just for you all. Be sure to get that family tier so you won't miss out. Let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more content. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Born on August 15th, 1934 in Toccoa, Georgia, to a religiously devout family where there was respected members of the church congregations and very active in their neighborhood. Byrd began singing in his local church choir with the gospel group the Zioneers. He rose to prominence as a member of the Gospel Starlighters, which featured his sister Sarah. At a period when church leaders was opposed to secular music, the group members left their native state and played in South Carolina as an R&B group, changing their names to the Avons. In 1954, they changed their name again to the Five Royals, before settling on the name The Flames in 1955. The initial lineup was Byrd, who played on piano and organ and also performed lead vocals, Floyd Scott, now if I pronounced that wrong, I sincerely apologize, Fred Pulliam, and DOO-WOP. Byrd met James Brown during a casual baseball game at a juvenile jail. He met Brown, who was serving time for robbery. Byrd befriended him and arranged for his family to supervise Brown's release. This sparked a personal and professional relationship that lasted until 1973. Although Byrd would eventually spend almost 20 years as a solo musician, it is his collaboration with James Brown that he is best known for. Contrary to common perception, the group had already changed their name to the Flames by the time Brown approached Byrd about joining the group. When Brown first came in, he initially settled to be the guy's drummer. Now, although he started off as drummer, Brown felt compelled to perform as a lead singer as he believed the lead vocalist received more attention from the ladies. Byrd knew early on that Brown was very special and hard to manage. Quote, "I didn't need him in competition, I needed him with me. That's why I worked so hard to get him over to my group." With Johnny Terry and Nash Knox on board, the group was dubbed the Famous Flames, and they signed a contract with Federal Records. Their debut song, Please Please Please, was Byrd claimed that he created with Johnny Terry. Please, 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 please. The song was sung lead by James Brown, and it was released under the name James Brown and the Famous Flames, which did not settle well with the group. After only 3 sessions with the original Flames, they split apart. Without Brown, the Flames altered their name to Byrd's Drops of Joy. However, they had little success. Brown contacted them about reforming the Flames and they accepted. At this point, the Famous Flames transitioned from a vocal instrumental group into a straight vocal group, as Brown began to use the old J.C. Davis band as his backing band. The original Flame members, Bobby Byrd and Johnny Terry, returned, while bringing in Bobby Bennett and Baby Lloyd Starworth to join them. Along with Brown, these guys formed the Famous Flames' longest running lineup. Floyd Scott, the original Flames guitarist, also rejoined the group. Between 1959 and 1964, the group had a string of singles that appeared on many records that helped expose R&B music to a wider audience, most notably the milestone million-selling 1963 live album, Live at the Apollo. Byrd and the Famous Flames also appeared together on a few episodes of The Ed Sullivan Show, and it had a brief cameo in the 1965 film Ski Party. They also outperformed the Rolling Stones in the legendary 1964 concert rock movie, The Tammy Show. Byrd and fellow Famous Flame Lloyd Starworth was recognized as composers for the group's single, Lost Someone. However, Brown was the only member who sang on the record.
That's someone that I lost.
Its popularity prompted Brown to record more singles on his own. Although most of his early singles came as a member of the Famous Flames, which included the songs Try Me,
And your love.
I Go Crazy,
I love you too much.
Be Withered,
Sleepless night. And
Think,
how much more your happiness can I really claim?
Baby You're Right,
I need you so bad when I can't get you.
I Don't Mind,
I know.
This Old Heart,
You took my love and now you're gone. You took my heart.
Shout and Shimmy,
You know I feel pretty good, children. I wonder, do you feel like
Good Good Lovin',
got something for you, darling, that you never had?
and Oh Baby Don't You Weep.
And another friend of mine told me, he said, if you need me.
At some of these recordings, the Famous Flames was frequently not credited on the album covers. However, on recordings in which Brown appeared alone, the group was credited, leading to fans believe that the group was Brown's backing band rather than the singer group that they was. The group continued to play until 1968, where they parted ways due to financial concerns. The final Flames related track to be released was a pre-funk soul smash, Lick and Stick, to which Byrd contribute vocals.
Lick and stick. Sister, get out there with your bad stuff. Ha. One more time.
After a 2-year hiatus, Byrd reconnected with James Brown in 1970. He recruited Boosie and Catfish Collins to join a band on the fly without rehearsal to replace Brown's prior band who quit on him before a show, forming the JBs. Following that performance, Byrd and Brown took the band to the studio where they recorded the legendary funk song, Get Up.
Get up, get on up, get up, get on up, get up, get on.
When the Famous Flames were still intact, Byrd and Brown co-founded Fair Deal Productions to release the Famous Flames albums and Brown solo recordings to mainstream audience after the years of focusing entirely on rhythm and blues. This resulted in both Byrd and Brown obtaining solo agreements with Smash Records. In 1964, Byrd recorded his first solo hit, Baby Baby Baby, with Anna King.
Lover man, baby, baby, baby.
A year later, he had a bigger R&B hit with We Are in Love, which reached number 14.
Say, my darling, that you found another man.
Later in the late 60s, as Byrd and Brown began working together under the yet-to-be-named genre that became known as funk, Byrd had a funk hit with the song I Need Help. That reached number 14 on the R&B charts and number 79 on the pop charts in 1970.
Feel it, I need to feel it.
Brown joined Polydor Records in 1971, and he and Byrd founded People Records, which released many of the recordings by various artists, including Byrd's funk smash, I Know You Got Soul.
Don't let nobody stop you from having yourself a ball.
Byrd performed with Brown from 1970 until 1973, where he left again due to a variety of issues, one of which was being uncredited for songs that he helped create. Another problem was Brown's personal problem with Vicki Anderson, who Byrd was dating at this time and eventually married. Although he stayed in communication with Brown after the separation, This departure marked the end of Byrd's 21-year professional relationship with James Brown, who at this time earned the name Godfather of Soul, especially after writing the music for the film Black Caesar. But unfortunately, without Byrd's assistance, Brown struggled with the creation of the rest of his songs on People Records, who eventually ran into financial difficulties. In 1975, Byrd recorded his song Back from the Dead.
Like a vampire in a horror movie. Girl, you gave me something.
In 1993, Byrd released a solo album titled On the Move. After a few live concerts, Byrd decided to retire in 1996, but periodically he would resurface to help Brown. Following James Brown's release from drug and weapon charges in 1991, he invited Byrd to perform on stage with him for his 1992 pay-per-view show. Byrd occasionally performed alongside Brown in select settings. They would also work together on the song Killing Is Out, School Is In, from Brown's final studio album, the 2002 The Next Step. At his burial in December of 2006, Byrd performed Sex Machine alongside Brown's other bandmates as a tribute to his late and estranged friend. Bobby and his wife Vicky and the Famous Flames, Bobby Bennett and Lloyd Starworth, sued the singer James Brown and Universal Music in 2003 for non-payment of royalties, claiming that compensations rightfully belonged to them for numerous of Famous Flames hits, as well as Byrd's hit I Know You Got Soul, which was sampled by numerous of rappers including Eric B and Rakim. But the royalties for this song and also the royalties for the sample was sent to James Brown instead. The lawsuit was dismissed due to statute of limitation. However, Jay-Z, who sampled Byrd's song I'm Not to Blame for his track You Don't Know on his 2001 legendary album The Blueprint, he gave Byrd 65% of the song, which allowed Byrd and his family to acquire a mortgage for their home at that time, which was around $250,000. After leaving Brown in 1973, Byrd married Vicki Anderson, who had also left Brown's band at that time. Byrd had 3 children with his first wife, and he also had 2 children from previous relationships. Anderson had children of her own, and when Byrd and Anderson married, he raised them as his own. The duo stayed married throughout Byrd's life, and despite moving to Cincinnati after the Famous Flames was signed with Federal, Byrd maintained properties in Georgia, and after leaving Brown, he resided in Loganville for the rest of his life. Sadly, Bobby Byrd passed from cancer on September 12, 2007 at the age of 73. Numerous of hip-hop songs had sampled Byrd. Many soul and R&B and hip-hop musicians have cited Byrd's music as a major influence. Byrd has been identified as one of the most important figures in music history. In October of 2004, Byrd's song I Know You Got Soul and Hot Pants was featured on the game Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. In September of 2005, his song Try It Again was featured on the soundtrack of another game, Indigo Prophecy. In 2014, Nelson Ellis portrayed Byrd in the James Brown biopic Get On Up. In 1986, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced that James Brown would be one of the organization's initial 9 inductees. However, James Brown did not match the Hall of Fame's entry standards at that time, which required an artist to release their first solo record at least 25 years before introductions. Brown's first solo record was released in 1965, and at that time it was 21 years prior. The only way for him to be inducted at this time was to include the Famous Flames. However, Bobby Byrd did get the recognition he deserved when he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2015 as a member of the JBs. He also got more recognition when he was inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame in 2020. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song that Bobby Byrd had a hand in?